Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Metro Outer Development Assessment Panel meeting for this morning. I declare the meeting open at 9:32 and acknowledge that we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. We acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia, pay respect to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, water and community. The meeting will be run in accordance with the DAP Standing Orders 2024 under the Planning and Development Assessment Panels Regulations 2011. This meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with the Regulation 42A of the Planning and Development Assessment Panels Regulations 2011. Members are reminded to announce their name and title prior to speaking. Panel members may refer to technical devices throughout the meeting to assist them in considering the information before them. My name is Clayton Hine. I am your presiding member for today's meeting. With me I have Jean Coltas, the deputy presiding member, and Nima Premji, the specialist member. For the first item, we have Councillor Luke Ellery from the Shire of Mundaring and Councillor Prapti Mehta from the Shire of Mundaring. Good morning to everyone. Later on, we'll be joined by the councillors from the City of Cockburn. There are no apologies, no members on leave of absence, and minutes from previous meetings are available on the DAP website. Turning to Part B, the Shire of Mundaring, can I get a confirmation from panel members that they have duly considered all the documentation?
Yes, I have.
Thank you very much. Councillors, did this matter go to the council meeting or a briefing?
It did not.
Okay, thank you very much. Therefore, I'm seeking to see if there are any disclosures of interest. No? No. Okay, thank you. Moving on then to the item. This is the Stanhope Gardens Midvale proposed advertising structure. For the presenter, Mr. Ben Carter from Pinnacle Planning. Ben, you're reminded there's a 3-minute limitation on this. I'll let you know once the 3 minutes is up.
Thank you, Clayton. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Ben.
Great. Thank you very much. Good morning, Mr. Presiding Member, fellow panel members, members of staff. Ben Carter from Pinnacle Planning to speak to the item before you this morning. It is a simple matter, so it will definitely be shorter than 3 minutes. The proposal, I hate referring to COVID in development land because it can be a bit of a catch-all, but this was an unfortunate one that was approved slightly prior to, then sort of hung around for a while and wasn't acted upon and built. So essentially it's reviving something that's been approved in the past, which the report reflects, which I won't touch on. Obviously we had some initially negative comments from Main Roads. So the proposal, as the RAR reflects, was modified to a single-sided digital sign and lowered in height to essentially make it consistent with the prior approvals that had been issued from both the development and a Main Roads perspective, resulting in Main Roads resting that they would essentially maintain a consistent position, that they support the application, leading to the officers accepting that position and accepting the consistent position of the application and supporting it thereafter. So essentially we endorse that position, of course, and respectfully request that the panel move accordingly. We did see there was an additional request in terms of a clarification of switching the sign-off during the evenings, noting that this was an application in 2019, 2020, where there was less digital signs in existence. Switching the sign-off in the evenings was merely, I believe, at the time, a mitigating factor due to light spill being quite difficult to sometimes pin down and determine the impacts of that. So the offer was made to turn it off in the evenings. Since that time, there's been more sophisticated light spill reports able to be produced, and certainly Main Roads and their updated guidelines have daytime and nighttime luminance levels. Condition 7, I believe, or suggested condition 7 at 7B has maximum luminance levels that Main Roads set out. And essentially what that means is that the luminance levels that are established deal with amenity impacts, essentially. So the idea is that you have luminance levels in the day and in the night, and that essentially deals with ambient light and not causing light spill, nuisance or amenity impacts. So our preference would be not to switch the screen off during the evenings, retain condition 7 in its entirety, noting condition B, and instead of a switch off, our request would be to impose a condition such that a light spill report is commissioned prior to the commencement of the use that would test and confirm prior to commencement and verify that the sign does in fact operate within those maximum luminance levels. To unpack that slightly and explain, the sophistication of the screens are now such that they are remotely monitored and set at luminance levels. So it's like setting a speedo on a car or volume on a TV. It's very simple. And these screens are commissioned and tested anyway by a lighting engineer from over east. So that would happen in any case. The suggestion or the request would be, instead of switching off in the evenings, to impose a condition for a light spill report to be furnished to confirm that there are no amenity impacts. Other than that, that was all that we had to say. And again, just respectfully request it is approved. And thank you for your indulgence to speak, and happy to answer any questions that might come up in relation to what I've just said now. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Panel members, other questions? Yes, Councillor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So the question is, can I ask of our Shire officers that question, or
We'll come to the officers next, but if you have a question.
could I just confirm from Mr. Carter the lights report? What was the type of lights report? I couldn't get the second part.
Sure. Thank you for your question, Councillor. It is a light spill report from a lighting engineer, and what it does is it captures the light spill that emits from the screen in terms of you get like it essentially estimates how far it produces a map, and it shows you essentially how far away relative to the luminance levels at night time, how much light spill it would emit essentially.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further questions of Ben? No, look, thanks, Ben. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Clayton.
We'll move to the officers. Officers, do you have some comments you want to make, or can you perhaps respond to the suggested condition by Ben Carter?
Yeah, morning. Yeah, I mean, in principle, the Shire wouldn't have any issues with such a condition being imposed. It would obviously be heavily dependent on seeking advice from Main Roads as part of that process. So if such a condition was included by the BAP members, then it's recommended that the report be submitted to and approved by the Shire to the satisfaction of Main Roads prior to the practical completion of the LED advertisement panel.
Yes, we probably need to be to the satisfaction of the Shire in consultation with Main Roads, so there's no third party involved there. Questions of the officers from panel members? Yes, Councillor Mehta.
So I just wanted to confirm from the officers that condition J, which was in the further information that was provided, condition J, to say that the LED signs will be operational during daylight hours and this be adjusted seasonally, that they are completely happy that that is not required. if there is an additional condition as suggested by Mr. Carter. Thank you.
Yeah, that's correct. As long as the report to the Shires and main road satisfaction, then we would be happy not having that condition J included.
Thank you.
But yes, Councillor Ellery.
Can I just understand what was the driver behind the concerns of light spill? Did this come from main roads? Did this come from adjoining businesses? Or did this come from, while I think the location isn't too important because it's right by a highway, but sometimes further up the hill we have a lot of effect on wildlife, environmentalist concerns. So what was behind the concern of light spill at night?
But originally, the concern was raised by main roads on the original plans, and it was raised back in 2018 or 19 with the original application. Main roads didn't raise it as a concern with the plans that are now being presented to DAP, and therefore the Shire officers did not include such a condition in the RAR presented. The wording that has been provided by Shire officers recently was in response to the DAP members' inquiry as to whether or not one should be included. Shire officers don't believe one should be included, and I think further to that, Ben's suggestion about the report will further address any concerns anyone has, particularly main roads, about that. The application was advertised to nearby landowners as part of the assessment process, and no concerns were raised.
Any questions?
So what is the purpose of an additional condition? I can't see what the issue is. I mean, there's a luminance level set for night and day. It's not proposed to turn the lights on or off during the evening, is it? Under the current approval? Council staff?
But as far as I'm aware, no. Like I said, it wasn't a condition Shire officers recommended to be included, and that's reflected in the RAR. So the condition's only there in response to the request from DAP members recently. So if no such condition was included, then Shire officers will have no concerns.
If no condition was included, what would the Shire do to confirm the lumen levels?
Well, in terms of the condition the applicant then was proposing, this is what I'm saying, we have no concerns. We're obviously guided by main roads as part of the assessment process, and our environmental health officers were involved in the assessment process as well. In terms of lighting, yeah, there were no concerns based on the current plans that have been prepared to that. Again, yeah, if the condition regarding the report was included based on what the applicant has suggested, we would have no concerns about that.
I suppose the point of my question is, if that additional condition is not placed there, how do you, as a Shire, confirm, or how is it to your satisfaction that the lumen levels at night have not been exceeded?
Well, based on that, I mean, the condition, yeah, should be included in terms of what the applicant has suggested. What I am saying is, in terms of the condition that was provided to that, I do not believe there is the need for the additional point J to be included. However, if the report was provided to the Shires and main road satisfaction, as suggested by Ben, I think that would overcome that matter.
Okay, thank you.
Just with the discussion occurring, condition 7 from the report stipulates that this is main roads. So there's quite a few conditions there, not flashing, pulsating, and the dimming and so forth. If condition 7, the first sentence where it says the proposed single-sided north-facing LED digital sign shall comply with the following, if we add in there to the satisfaction of the Shire and in consultation with the main roads do you think that would ensure that all the main roads conditions have been met and that all the dimming and flashing and all that has been adhered to by the proponent?
Yeah, we wouldn't have any concerns if such wording was included.
Thank you.
Further questions of the officers? No. Okay. Thank you very much for that. Sorry,
A
Councillor.
very quick one. Just with the it often comes up on these panels of, the Shire being the ultimate deciding party. The last part 7I, main roads agreement is obtained prior to any future modifications. How does that condition sit in light of that they're not ultimately a decision maker? So what is this exactly? What is condition 7I empowering main roads to do?
Just to cut in there, Councillor Ellery, I think that's probably superfluous anyway. That one, because it's talking about a future situation. So if there is a modification, that's an amended application or a new application anyway. So I just don't think that I is a relevant part of the condition anyway.
Well, then if I were to take your advice and put the question to the officers, what would be the effect if it were deleted?
Well, to be honest with you, very little. I mean, as panel members said, they would need to put an amended DA anyway. So the wording that's presented in the RAR at present is based on the advice received from the main roads. So if it was removed, the Shire officers wouldn't have any concerns in terms of point I.
Okay, any further questions? No? Okay, thank you for that. Thank you to the officers. We'll move on to the item. There's a recommendation for approval with conditions. Seeking a mover and a seconder for the published recommendation as it stands. Is there a mover? Councillor Ellery, thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Mehta, thank you. Councillor Ellery.
Yeah, look, in speaking of support of the application, I frequently drive that area of Royal Highway. I have frequently seen the sign there. It is something that's tall. You can see as you're approaching a bend, and the highway is very well lit at night. So any concerns of when reading through all of the report and relevant documentation, concerns about wildlife, I didn't see as applicable in this case because it's surrounded by streetlights. Concerns about how it may affect the road, I believe condition 7B addresses and satisfies those. So I don't see the sign is not bigger, and the fact that it is LED at low lumens just gives them more flexibility in what they change. I don't think it changes any of the amenity for the road users. So I'm happy to speak in support of it. As we move into further debate, might be suggesting some amendments, but in all, happy with the proposed.
Thank you, Councillor Ellery. Councillor Mehta, a seconder.
No, nothing other to add. Nothing more to add other than what Councillor Ellery has said. So I'm quite comfortable with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Further speakers?
Yes, I'll speak in support of the application, but in doing so, I'll move an amending motion. And the amending motion is to delete 7I, and at the end of H, include the wording to the satisfaction of the Shire of Mundaring on the advice from Main Roads Department. And the reason for that is, oh, sorry, I'll get a seconder first.
I'll second that.
Is this a
second?
Thank you. Thank you. Carry on, Jane.
Yeah, the reason for deletion of point I is that it goes without saying that any future modifications to the sign will have to go through the Shire and probably get referred to Main Roads. So at the very least, it could be a advice note, but I don't think it's required. It's superfluous, and the compliance with the condition has to be with the Shire of Mundaring on the advice from Main Roads, if so sought. And I'm sure that Main Roads has got measuring equipment to ensure the lumens that's required for the signage. So that's it.
So speaking to the amendment, as a seconder for that.
Thank you. Yes, I agree with the amendment that's been put forward. Rightfully, as the Ben Carter said, since 2010, there's been significant improvements with such signage over time, and we're in 2025. So yes, I agree that to give comfort to the debate that has occurred earlier on, I think the amended motion will cover that sufficiently and support it.
Are there any other speakers on the amendment? No. No. Okay, then I'll put the amendment. All in favour? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. The floor's still with you, Jane.
No further to add. I think that it's a fairly simple application.
Nima, did you want to speak on that?
No, thank you.
And I too support the substantive motion. Not a great fan of big signs along motorways and freeways and main roads, but noting that this structure is slightly smaller than the existing structure, and I guess the scale of it does fit within the context of that location. So I'm happy to support it in this case. Back to Councillor Ellery to close debate.
Yeah, very little to add. Appreciate the amendment. That was all I was looking at there anyway, Jean. And I believe that, it's not even necessary to specify that it has to be a light spill report. If whatever means are necessary to satisfy to the Shire's satisfaction that the previous condition 7B is met, then I would rather leave some flexibility to that. So, yeah, given the context and the location and what's already been approved, yeah, this is in certainly no way any step backwards from amenity. So, happy to support.
Thank you, Councillor Ellery. That closes debate on that. I'll now put the motion as amended. All in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you to the councillors. I'm just finishing off. There are no DAP applications, no SAT 31 reconsiderations. And thank you to the two councillors. And we'll now invite. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now inviting councillors Wadenbar and Zatorovich. Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Welcome to the two councillors now. I'm going to seek a declaration of due consideration. All members of the panel for this part of the meeting familiar with the material before us?
Yes.
By show of hands, thank you. Councillors, did this matter go to a council meeting?
No.
No. Okay, thank you. Are there any disclosures of interest?
No. Possibly. I live about 300 metres south of it. I'm not sure if there's a different standard of proximity interest for this as there is for council, but probably not.
No, I think that's fine, councillor.
Okay.
300 metres is quite some distance.
Mm-hmm.
So there are no disclosures of interest. Thank you. Moving on to the item. We've got Claire McLean available. She's online, is she? She's not making a presentation, but available to take questions? Morning, Claire.
Good morning, presiding member, members of the panel.
Are there questions of there? Yes, Nina.
Just one first question. In the development, you've got a 10-metre reserve. Can you please give us I'm seeking clarification on how much would be into the paved road and how much would be the footpath, the reserve, because it's, when we look at it, it looks like as if for two cars to get around it, they may have to get onto the verge of the road, So can you just give some clarification on that?
Okay, sure. So we have an the communal street is an existing. Stage one has commenced. So we have the communal street is existing at the 10-metre wide width. It's got I think, so it's sort of, sorry, I should probably have looked at this plan. Let me just get the copy up so I can see exactly what I'm looking at. Yes, so we have it's a continuation of the existing communal street, and we have a 6-metre wide vehicle carriageway, and then from on either side there's a section that is for landscaping and soft landscaping and grass, etc. Within that 6 metres, it's a shared zone, so it's partially used for vehicles and pedestrians as well. Because it's a low trafficable area, the volume of cars that are travelling along there, that's sort of designed in a way which will sort of slow any cars down and allow for pedestrians to walk along the footpath section, and then vehicles can also sort of move around each other if by any chance there is a car going the other way.
Then my next question is to do with the bushfire management plan.
Yeah, sure.
I just wanted to, there's a few of them that end up in the fire zone. So how are we looking at the residents who live there to be looking at managing bushfire, considering there is no overall bushfire management plan?
Yes. Okay. So look, the area is unfortunately within that bushfire prone location, and we have had a BAL assessment undertaken that's established that the threat is actually coming from the city's drainage reserve, and there's a vacant lot to the north as well, which it has an approved local structure plan over it but has not commenced development. So we've advised the city that and requested that they immediately manage their own drainage reserve and notify the landowner to the north of its requirements to under Section 33, I think it is, of the Bushfire Act, to manage its own site to reduce the risk, because as soon as they have managed that risk as is required of them and as is required of the city, the land becomes BAL low. So there is an existing bushfire threat on the residents at the moment, so we have alerted the city to that, and I'm currently actioning the discussions with the city to ensure that that is managed as quickly as possible to remove the threat by the time the buildings are up and running.
Thank you.
Further questions? Claire, just going back to the width of the road, so what you're suggesting is if two cars do need to pass each other, one of them will have to go onto the footpath area?
Well, not so. In theory, yes. I don't know if that would actually happen. I have got a few images in I think it's the applicant's response to the comments received from the city. It sort of shows, and in those images, I think it's on where have we got the first one, will show a car, which I thought was quite convenient that it had included that in the schedule that's attached to my correspondence. So that's on, if under part C, let me just see what page that is. That's the end of the schedule. I think it's the first image. We are on page 138 potentially of the PDF. version, if you're looking at that, and you can see there's an image there, and there's one on 135, sorry, that actually shows a car.
Just going to bring it up on screen.
That'd be great. Thanks. So the idea is that it's an entirely flat surface because we're looking at over 55s and people that may be having less mobility, so there's no trip hazards, etc. But it's the actual surface is defined through different colour variations to show curbing as a line.
So
and
that's,
pedestrian.
is that the image? Is
Yeah,
that the-
that's the one. Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
So you can see there's a car that's parked just on the curb. And that width, you could see that another car could quite easily pass in the other direction.
So what, just remind me, what's the actual width of the vehicle pavement?
It's when looking at the plan, it's 4.8 metres wide, and then you have that additional pedestrian pathway of 1.2 metres.
Because in the structure plan, it says vehicle access to the individual strata lots is to be provided by a network of 10-metre wide brick paved access ways.
Yes.
So that's for vehicle access.
Access, yes, with the pedestrian path included. That was the, yes.
It's not,
So really, we're just following that design.
yeah, it's not what the structure plan says to the letter, but let's talk about vehicle access.
Yes, that local structure plan's quite old now. It has been renewed, and it's still an endorsed local structure plan. There are plans included with that as annexures as part of the explanatory guidelines as part of that local structure plan document, which does show the different uses of that communal street.
Right. Any further questions of Claire? No? Okay, thanks, Claire. Thanks for that. We'll move to the officers. Is there any comment you want to make, Jacques or Lucia, in relation to this or the matters that have been raised?
Thank you, Presiding Member. So, yeah, we do note that it's an interesting situation to be in, that we have an overarching structure plan that's somewhat out of date with modern requirements. However, we are prepared, given stage one of this development has been on the ground, to move forward with supporting stage two. If the applicant is able to make some minor modifications to reduce the DAP's concerns about vehicle movement, then we're also willing to, accept the DAP's position on that. But very much we have noted the structure plan as the prevailing document to give due regard. So that's the intent that we're supporting today. Follow through with that.
Okay, thank you. Questions of the officers? Neiman.
I just got a question. As you said, the structure plan, has been endorsed a long time ago and we give due regard to it. And since then, you've got your other policies that have come into effect. Is there any intention of the council to revisit the structure plan? Given that we've got stage 3 coming, and by the time we get there, I'm sure there'll be more changes in policies and everything forthcoming. So I just wondered if you'll be looking at doing that in the near future.
So the applicant is responsible for submitting revisions to the structure plan if necessary. There was a extension of that structure plan by our strategic planning team, I believe, last year. So there has been a recent review, and it was determined to maintain the structure plan as is, noting that there was always a prevailing intent for this development to occur in accordance with that original concept plan from the older structure plan.
My second question is, we've heard an earlier question about the bushfire management plan and the response by the applicant. Don't know whether you've got the information, but where is the city with respect to, in regard to looking after its own reserve on the north given that this area, is for vulnerable people, retired, so forth. Where is the city at this particular point?
Yeah, so certainly it's a great question. We can definitely ensure maintenance of our drainage reserve to a certain point. The legislation around private landowners of that lot to the north that the city does not own, they would obviously be responsible for maintaining sufficient fire breaks and whatnot with that landowning. We do have a community safety division, and we have been in contact with our division to ensure that they make contact with landowners just in terms of these more vulnerable sites to ensure their obligations for bushfire mitigation are in place. But again, it's a private landowner, so we can only ask them to ensure their vacant lot is kept to a certain standard. Whether they do that is another thing.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Lucia, just as a follow-up to that, is it appropriate that this be approved given that they're the private land, but you can't control their maintenance of the bushland? So do we not have an issue around the bushfire management for this particular development application?
Do you want to talk about the assessment that you had with regard to the bushfire?
Yeah.
Just as a follow-on, I presume there's penalties applying to the private landowner if they don't undertake their fire breaks.
Yes, of course. And we've the city's reviewed the bow contour report, and obviously there are a few lots of the proposed stage 2 development that are within the flame zone. Looking at the report, noting that there is going to be a structure plan that has been approved, but noting that the development to the north of the site will one day be developed and will affect where this BMP will be affected in regards to the lots in stage 2. So the risk will reduce, but noting that the bow assessment now, it's just going to impede on the development of the site and of stage 2. So the city didn't see the necessity to refuse the application based on the fact that the bushfire levels will reduce over time, obviously with that structure plan moving forward and with the city looking at maintaining that reserve.
Further questions? No. All right, thank you to the officers. We'll move to the item now, and I'm seeking a mover and a seconder for the published recommendation. Is there a mover? Thank you, Councillor Saparovich. Is there a seconder? Councillor Weidenbach, thank you. Councillor Saparovich. That's the mover.
Yes, what do we require a reason or just a comment on it?
You as the mover, you can speak to it.
I'm very personally aware of this exact block. I'm currently about 350 meters south of it. I don't actually have any concerns about the bushfire attack level. I agree with the officer's suggestion that the bow levels will reduce over time as the lot to the north gets developed. I would like to note that we've had 3 possible arson attacks on that railway line to the north of it over the last 2 weeks. And even then, that block that we're talking about, the De Lazaro block that is the undeveloped one, didn't catch fire. So it has been properly maintained. They do have proper bushfire breaks on it. I'm not concerned about bushfire attack levels for this particular block, so I see no reason why this development shouldn't be going ahead. It seems perfectly reasonable and fits in with the rest of the community quite well.
Thank you. Councillor Weidenbach, a seconder.
I'd just like to echo Councillor Bavarich's comments. I think it's a reasonable development, and it'll be good to get some more housing stock in the area.
Thank you. further speakers?
Yes, look, as the RA says, the development complies with the planning framework under the planning scheme and the local planning strategies and the local structure plan, sorry. The proposal has some issues with regard to requiring discretion to approve minimum lot sizes and average lot sizes, which has been explained in the RA. Also, the bushfire bell issue has been addressed. The aerial photos show a little bit of vegetation along that boundary, and I'm sure that with the due diligence of the council staff, they will ask the owner of that lot to put the fire break in to reduce that if that vegetation is actually still there along the fence line. In regard to issues associated with the road reserve width, it's not uncommon in previous developments where road widths are under current policies under width, or the pavements are under width, to have a footpath next to it, clearly delineated by colour and materials to indicate that the pedestrians have priority. However, if there's no pedestrians there, then of course they can mount the flush curb, I think it would be, or semi-mountable curb to pass a car with maybe a service truck or something, but two smaller vehicles can pass each other comfortably on 4.8 metres. So all in all, I'm supporting the application as a next stage of a overall development.
Thank you.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Yes, I also support the RA recommendation. It is well designed and it is much needed in our community. The construction of the Mel Gardens being done in stages is very good in the sense that it is taking into account the updating of the policies and the amendments, given due regard to the endorsed structure plan, and rather than policies. And the report was well written in the explanation and justification of where there has been some deviation from the structure plan. So overall, I support the recommendation to approve.
Thank you. And I too support it. I don't see any purpose in widening the road paving area just at the expense probably of some landscape area. So I think I'd sooner, well, I know, I'd sooner see the landscaping there, and I believe the number of vehicles and the vehicle speed is probably quite low, and I'm sure they can pass quite easily. I have some reservations about the bushfire management plan. I just feel a little uneasy, I suppose, about approving something where quite clearly it falls within the higher bell reading. But I accept that there will be some management of those properties and that will mitigate the bell number that we're looking at the moment. So on that note, I'm happy to support the proposal as recommended. Back to you, Councillor Safarovic, to wind up the debate.
No, nothing further to add, really. I think we're all in agreement on this.
Thank you. All right, I'll put the motion. All in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Just to close off the meeting, there's no Form 2 DAPs, there's no SAT reconsiderations. There is a couple of SAT matters in Part D, and I'll close the meeting at 10:16. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.